All right, guys and girls, I have finally done it. A camera company has reached out to me to review a camera. It's been a long 7 years, but I finally reached the peak of YouTube photography. So I started to make this video about the OM3 Micro Four Thirds camera from OM System. And immediately, as soon as I started to make the video, I felt like an idiot because as excited I was about a camera company reaching out to me to review a camera, I knew deep down that it simply doesn't matter. And I've said this a million times. I made a video 5 years ago or 6 years ago talking about sensor size and medium format film versus digital versus large format film, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. And I felt stupid again because I was using my camera, the Lumix S1, to film physical parts of the camera for this review to talk about the camera. And it just gets to be too much. And I think that's the problem with the majority of YouTube photography out there, is that everyone wants to talk about things that don't matter. First, I do want to praise OM System for reaching out to me because it feels like they actually value decent photography over engagement, comments, clickbait, subscriber count, follower count, everything that goes along with being an influencer and a photographer in 2026. They reached out to me and wanted to just make a video using the camera. And I took it on hikes. I took some portraits with it. I took it in the street. And at the end of it all, I realized that it's just a camera and it's not going to solve any of the problems that I have relating to photography. Everything that I preach when it comes to photography is the gear does not matter. And I know a lot of people like to say that on YouTube, but then they act a different way. My advice to anyone that wants to get into photography is use any camera that you can get your hands on. Any camera that's come out the past 15 years is going to do everything that you need it to do and more. I think the Canon 5D Mark II, people still use that camera because it does things incredibly well. And I was actually looking at cameras a week or so ago because I thought that I might want to upgrade my Lumix S1. And I go on YouTube, I go on Google, I type in 2026 best cameras or whatever. It sends me to Sony, it sends me to Canon, Fujifilm, all these brands. I look at the spec sheet because I can actually look at the spec sheet and I don't need some YouTuber to read me the spec sheet. And the newest flagship mirrorless Sony camera offers a half a stop more of dynamic range compared to my Lumix S1 from 2019. It might be a stop. It might be 1.1 stop. I don't know what it is. But it's not enough to make me pay $2,500 used for a new camera. And it's not going to make me a better photographer. If you make shit pictures on a Canon 5D Mark II, you're going to make shit pictures on a Sony a7R6. That's just the way that it goes. And for anyone out there that wants to get better at photography, I've said it a million times, you need to get out into the world and practice photography. If it's landscapes, you need to look at books. You need to look at old landscape photographers that did it before you. You don't need to look at some guy on YouTube who's trying to sell you the same Sony camera over and over again, year after year after year. Do you not think that Sony can put a feature into a camera this year? They can put any feature they want into a camera, but they have to sell you next year's model, so they wait to do that. And then the same guy's telling you to buy that camera and about how he uses it and it's amazing. And it is amazing, but it doesn't matter. He's going to make the same images he makes because he's him. He's the guy behind the camera. I go on Sony's website because I want to see some image samples from people making work with the camera, and it's just a bunch of influencers talking about the camera. I want to see work. I want to see actual photos made with the camera. I've said camera a million times, and I'm getting tired of hearing it. It doesn't matter. Michael Ackerman, the photographer, it looks like his photos were made with a pinhole or a Holga, but it makes me feel something. It elicits an emotion in me. That's what I want to feel. Rory King does the same thing. His 4x5 negatives look like they've been like slashed in oil, and there's mistakes all over them, and they look dark and they look underexposed, but it makes me feel something. That's what I want to see in photography, and that's what I don't see on YouTube photography when people talk about cameras. And I use the OM3. It's a great camera. It's small. It's lightweight. The image quality is fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's not doing anything else that my Lumix S1 can't do. And I felt incredibly weird sitting down to make a video talking about the pros and the cons of this camera and if you need it or not, because deep down, I know that you don't need it. What you need is to go out into the world, practice, read books, talk to people, see different cultures, experience different things. That's what's going to improve your photography. Megapixels aren't going to improve it. Chromatic aberration, sharpness, that's not going to improve it. Technically, when someone comes to me with work and they're asking me for a critique or they're asking me how to improve, I'm not saying, oh, what camera do you use? Oh, you use an A7R4? Well, you need an A7R5. That's going to make these images way better. That's not what I say. I'm talking about their process. I'm talking about how they're interacting with people if they're trying to make good portraits. That's the shit that I care about. So when I sat down to make this video and I was filming the buttons on the camera, I'm like, stop. I don't know how many times I can say this. It seems like it's kind of in vogue these days for YouTubers to talk about gear and how it doesn't matter. And there seems to be a little pushback going on about camera companies and how stupid they are. But it needs to be more. These camera companies, they don't care about you. They don't care about your photography. What they care about is checks and money coming in and money coming out. And I know I'm probably not going to get sent any other cameras for the foreseeable future, and I'm fine with that. This is not a gear channel. I talk about photography. I talk about my process, and that's what I care about. So that's pretty much all I have to say. And if you have a comment, leave it down below. Unless you're talking about my shit music that I pick in my videos. Well, you can still leave a comment because I'll reply to it, and I reply to all comments, but just try to be nice in the comments. All right, that's all I have to say. See ya.